Okay, everyone, we are officially going to get started. So with our yoga practice today, let's start in our Shavasana pose. So laying completely flat down on our mats, on our back. We'll spend a couple of minutes here just relaxing, getting into the right frame of mind, trying to declutter whatever's going on up here in our brain, and just releasing any fidgets, seeing if we can get ourselves really comfortable. So my hope for us today is that throughout the yoga practice, as we're going through our stretches and each pose, that we're not thinking about other things, that we're not, maybe goofing around or doing other things, that instead, I really want us to see how present we can be. In every pose we do, can we really think about that stretch, that balance? That's what I am hoping we can work on today. All right, so if you're not down there yet, taking ourselves onto our backs. If you're not quite sure about Shavasana, really just laying completely flat down, palms face the ceiling, hands are open on the ground, feet are slightly turned out. Really relax the shoulders, relax the head. As often as possible, let's try to keep our nose up to the ceiling, not looking at the screen or looking at me. Just closing your eyes if that's comfortable, and taking a few big, deep breaths, feeling your stomach rise and fall with each breath. Now with our next inhale, reaching those arms long up over our head. Nice big stretch. Good, now release those arms down. We'll gather the knees into our chest, give ourselves a nice big hug, holding on to the legs. And then rock side to side, right to left. Noticing how our hips are feeling. And we can keep a hold of our knees now. Give those knees a little bit more of a squeeze and start rolling through our feet, our ankles, our toes. Maybe you're noticing that you've got some cricks and cracks. Maybe your toes are cold. Just working through them. Getting ready to stretch one leg at a time. Hold on to your right knee, straighten out that left leg all the way down to the ground. And now let's bring that right knee out towards the right shoulder, just a little bit. And you'll feel maybe a bit of a stretch come across your hips. We'll bring the knee over and across towards the left shoulder now. Try to keep your shoulders soft on the floor. And lowering that leg down to the ground. We'll go ahead and switch sides now. Taking the left knee into the middle. Open that knee out towards the left shoulder. Really press that right leg down into the ground. Bring the knee over to the right shoulder. This is not a very big move, but for some of us, we may be feeling a lot of sensation, a lot of feelings in those hips. Let's bring the knee back through the middle and lower all the way down. Going through some glute bridges. We'll bring our feet nice and close to the bum. With this bridge flow, arms down by our sides, we'll lift our hips up towards the ceiling, resting on our shoulders, and then slowly lower down. Doing this a few times. Inhale, lift the hips up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. And one more. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, release. Taking our time, rolling over onto our sides, and picking ourselves up onto all fours. Now, when we get to all fours, we'll find ourselves with hands under our shoulders, knees under our hips, a nice flat feet in the back. Try not to curl them up, just nice flat. Finding cats and cows, let's look forward with our eyes, open up into cow, and then tuck the tailbone, pull the bellies in, rounding up to cat. Inhale, open up to cow. Exhale, round up to cat. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round, really nice and high. Good, finding tabletop again. We'll come into our thread the needle. Let's start with our right arm, reaching it all the way up to the ceiling. Thread it underneath your left side. As you lay down into your right shoulder, I want you to see if you can bring either this left hand up to the sky or just forward of the head. Notice which one feels better. You might have to play with it a little bit, feeling that wonderful stretch. And then we find ourselves in tabletop again. Take your time coming up there. We'll do the other side. For me, it will be my left arm. Nice big inhale, reach, and then exhale, sweep underneath. You can lay into that left ear, and then reaching either the right arm up overhead or forward on the floor. Noticing any stretch through the shoulders or the back. We'll come up into our tabletop position and get ready for our runner's lunge. Sweeping that right foot up between our hands. I want you to place the knee right on top of your ankle. So if you need to help move the foot forward, go ahead and do that. Lifting up onto the knee if you can. Otherwise, you can leave those hands down on the floor today. We'll lift our arms all the way up. Bring those shoulders down and the bellies in. Now, as we're here, I want everyone to just shift your hips a little bit forward. So not your belly, but your whole body. Wiggling your toes, continuing to lift up really nice and high. See how our balance is this morning. Nice big breath. Getting ready for our lizard pose. We'll bring our hands down if they were raised. Take our hands to the inside of our leg. We'll heel toe that right foot out to the outside of our mat. Still stacking our knee right on top of our ankle. And we can stay up on our hands or come down to our forearms. Now, if anyone needs another view, don't worry, I'm gonna turn around and face you so you can see that again. So if you're in runner's lunge, we heel toe that right leg out to the side. Come onto our hands so that that knee still stays right on top of the ankle. We want to always think about our strong foundation in our buildings. Building always up and down. And then from here, let's slowly come back into tabletop position. So now we've got the other side. We'll bring that left foot forward into runner's lunge. Help that foot get there, so knees right on top of ankle. And if you're lifting your hands up, we can find our balance as we raise the arms nice and tall, shoulders down, bellies in, and then shift those hips forward. Always able to wiggle the foot. So if you feel like you're stuck on your toes, your foot probably has to come a little bit farther forward. Now let's hold a nice big breath. Good. Staying where you are, I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see it again. So let's do 2 more big breaths. If our hands were lifted, let's bring them back down to the floor. Heel toe that left foot out to the outside of the mat. Making sure, again, nice upright, knee right on top of ankle. And you can come onto your elbows or stay on your hands, holding our lizard. Good. Trying not to hold our breath. Keep breathing. And we'll slowly make our way back up onto our hands if we were on our elbows. Sweep that leg back behind us, and now we'll push back into child's pose. Sink those hips nice and low, reaching the arms forward, and maybe even dropping the head, letting that forehead touch the floor if we can. From here, we're coming up into down dog. We can curl the toes underneath of us, lifting those hips up nice and high, and then reach our eyes back towards our feet. So that little reach of the chest between our shoulders. And then let's start walking the dog, pedaling the feet toe to heel, toe to heel. Maybe that feels really good on the feet, or perhaps we're noticing it more up the backs of our legs. From here, we'll take ourselves into a flow series, whether we're in child's pose or down dog. I want us all to reach forward into a plank pose. We can keep the knees off the ground, or you can bring the knees to the floor as we lower the body with chaturanga. Scooping up for cobra. I'm gonna start with a baby today, just a little cobra first, and then press back into our downward facing dog pose or child's pose. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog or child's. Let's do that 1 more time together. Inhale, forward. Let's see how much we can control this. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Beautiful. Wonderful. Exhale, down dog or child's. Now from here, coming back into tabletop, we're on our hands and knees. Now if you need a wrist break, go ahead and just roll those wrists. I'm gonna remove a sweater. You also need to remove a warm-up later. Go ahead. Coming into our dolphin pose. So dolphin pose, we'll take our elbows right underneath our shoulders. So again, we're stacking the building. We're going to interlace our fingers. Now with our interlaced fingers, we don't want to squeeze the hands shut. I want you to actually hold a clementine or an apple, something right in between your fingers. So you're not quite closing them shut, just a little bit loose. And then with your elbows right underneath, we'll curl the toes, lift those hips straight up, just like you would in down dog. Now you might be tempted to let your head touch the floor. I want you to really lift out of those elbows and let your head hang loose. You might have to bend your knees lots. That's okay. And if this is your very first time trying dolphin, it may feel extra. That's the word I'm going to describe it today. Just a lot for the shoulders. It's a little bit hard to hold. We'll only hold it for just 1 more big breath. And then let's come back into child's pose. We'll take a quick break. Big reach of those arms. Couple nice big breaths here. Now from dolphin, we're going to flow that. We'll turn that pose into a flow. Taking those elbows underneath our shoulders again. Interlace those fingers, holding onto your clementine. Curl the toes, let's lift those hips up nice and high. Now with our flow, we'll be moving forward into a plank position. So we come forward into plank and then push back up into dolphin. So inhale forward to plank, exhale back to dolphin. You could absolutely do this from your knees if you would prefer to practice on your knees. Otherwise, have some fun with it, flowing at your own time, lifting those hips up nice and high, and then coming forward into that elbow plank, trying to get your bum in line with your shoulders when we come down to plank. Amazing. Let's do 1 more each. Ready? Plank, and then finish high up in dolphin. And then you can lower the knees and bring yourself back into child's pose. Nice big stretch here. Good, and just take a couple breaths. If we're in child and we're comfortable with it, let's come up into downward facing dog. Really press those hands away. Lift the hips up nice and high. See if we can really scoop out those backs, creating a really flat back with your tailbone nice and high. We're coming into a pigeon pose next. Lift your right foot high up to the ceiling, three-legged dog. And then as we bend the knee in through plank, we sweep the foot towards the left hand, the knee towards the right hand, and we come back into child. I'm gonna do that from the front perspective too. If you're here and you're comfortable, go ahead and lay down. Otherwise, if you need another look, I'm gonna show you. So you would take your right foot up, bring it through, and then try to get your leg so that it's flat across with that left leg straight back behind you. Good, now as we're here, we can stay high up on our hands, come down onto our elbows, or completely relax on our hands, on our forehead. And while you're here too, what I'd like you to think about is your back. Would you be able to rest a plate of grapes on your back right now? Or would it totally fall off? Are you twisted and tilted? I want us to be able to balance that plate of grapes. As we stretch that right hip, taking those big deep breaths. Now slowly, let's come back up onto our hands. And as we come back into down dog, we're going to soften three-legged dog if we're able to. If not, back into down dog or child's pose. But if you can, let's bring that right foot all the way up into three-legged dog. And then if anyone wants it, we can open that up by bending the knee and lifting that knee up just a little bit higher, letting the body twist slightly. Try to keep that left heel pressing down to the floor if we can. And then down dog or child's pose for a couple breaths. Try to push away from those hands. And we'll be repeating that on the other side. Getting ready for pigeon with the left foot. Let's take that left foot high up to the sky. And then draw the knee through. Bring the foot over towards your right hand, the knee over towards your left hand. Press that right leg back as straight behind you as you can get it. And then we can relax, either on hands, elbows, or all the way down onto our forehead. Again, I want you to think about leveling off your back, creating that nice flat space. And taking a few nice, slow, deep breaths. Stretching deep into that left hip. Slowly coming back up onto our hands, taking your time. Again, the option is there for you to go back immediately into down dog or child's, or take that left foot high up into three-legged dog. If you'd rather go into open, you can bend your knee, lifting it higher up to the ceiling, trying to get that right heel down to the floor. Nice big stretch for that supporting right leg. And we come back into down dog or child's pose for a couple breaths. You choose which stretch you'd prefer. Really push back, creating a nice flat back. And then get ready to come onto the stomach. So we'll big inhale, reach forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga, that slow lower. And let's take our cobra stretch. Big lift up. Long necks. Long arms lifting up through the chest. Good, very nice everyone. Lowering onto our stomach. We'll take our arms out to the side, going through a few stretches on our stomach. The first one is going to be scorpion. So we'll take our right hand under the right shoulder, bend your right knee or both knees, and roll over your left arm. Trying to get the right knee or both knees straight up to the ceiling. Take a couple nice big breaths. and then lower onto our stomach again, stretching both arms straight out to the side. We'll do that again with our left hand coming under the left shoulder, bend your left knee or both knees, and then roll over that right arm. All right, let's lower onto our stomach. Bringing those arms out to the side, let's just take a couple big breaths. Notice how it feels to lay on our tummy. And we're coming into knot next. This is one of our favorite versions of thread the needles. We take our arms straight forward, just like you're flying high in Superman. With our knot, we start with a half knot, like you're tying your shoelaces and pulling that string to make a knot. That's what I'm implying right now. We take that right arm, thread it all the way underneath so that you're trying to make your arms run perpendicular to each other. And you can lay on that right ear. Some of us, our head will touch the ground. Some of us, it won't. And we can stay in the half knot. But for anyone thinking that they need just a little bit more today, we'll go into full knot. Bringing that front left arm across as well. Trying to create a long straight line running between fingers and shoulders. And if you're comfortable with it, you can try to drop your forehead towards the floor. We want to keep pulling those arms apart, like you're trying to draw those strings into a tighter knot, opening up through the shoulder blades, the upper back. And we'll slowly release both arms forward and just take a moment in Superman and relax the body. We'll be repeating that whole thing on the other side now. So we take that left arm, thread it all the way underneath. We can lay into the left shoulder, maybe even the ear, as we look towards that hand. Just take a moment to let the body settle into this position. Again, if you'd like this position, you can stay in half knot. Otherwise, joining me in full knot, bringing that right arm across and under, pulling the string a little bit tighter. And then for anyone who's able to, you can drop the head. This is one of those positions that if we were all in a room together and we were laying in a circle with our heads in the middle, we could be holding hands in that beautiful sharing or prayer circle. And we can slowly release out of that, just relaxing in that Superman pose for another breath. We've got one more stretch that we're going to do on our stomach, and this is going to be our bow pose. So I'll show it half and full, and then I'll let us all pick which one we're going to do today. So half would be grabbing your right hand on your right ankle. Left hand would be right under the shoulder, pressing up. So if this is the position you're going to take, I'll tell you when to switch, and then you'll do the other side. Otherwise, we're going to do both together, okay? So trying to grab both ankles, and if you're thinking, nope, I'm just going to do one at a time, then grab that first ankle. Now all together, we take a big inhale, lift up. And as we hold our ankles, we try to keep our knees coming as close together as possible, lifting the chest up nice and high. Every time you take an inhale, you might find that you rock a little bit. That's natural. We're laying on our diaphragm. Okay, so if you have just one leg up, go ahead and lift the other one. So switch sides. All of us who are still holding both, let's get a little bit higher. Put those feet and kick them up just a little bit higher back, lifting the shoulders, squeezing them, lifting higher with the head. Now all together, we're going to take one more huge breath. And exhale, relax, relax, relax. Hands come underneath our ribs or shoulders, cobra stretch. Ooh, I am so much higher now. Oh, we look so wonderful. All right, let's press back into child's pose. Sit those hips, push back nice and low, stretch those backs, really reach your arms as far forward as they'll go and drop your head to the floor. Couple big breaths. From here, we're going to come up into down dog one last time, if you're comfortable with it. Otherwise, stay back in child's pose. Try to lift your hips up really nice and high. Now I want us to walk our hands and feet together. We're going to come into a prayer squat. So we take our feet like we're about to come up into a monkey pose. Turn the toes out just a little bit. You can have your knees bent here. So turn your toes out a little bit. Keeping your feet flat on the floor, I want you to start to sit your hips down as low as they'll go. And then take our hands into prayer, pressing those knees out a little bit wider with our elbows. Now I want you to think about your shoulders. Are you rounded over and hunchy, or are you pulling those shoulders back, puffing your chest? So again, the difference of here to here. Squeezing those shoulder blades, pressing your elbows against the knees, holding your hands. I want these hands to be pressing into each other. So you're not just laxy, you're pressing. And again, if you're just relaxing in child or down dog, it's amazing. Staying in our prayer, let's hold this for one nice big inhale. Now let's all take our hands down to the floor for some fun. If anyone wants to do a handstand today, we are doing crow, and we are in a great position for it. Hands are going to be spread. See how my fingers are spread apart a lot? Let's come up onto our tippy toes. Our elbows are already pressing like good friends against our knees, but let's see if we can lift our knees a little bit higher up towards our armpits. Now we've got our shin against our big arm. Now I want you to think about keeping your eyes at me, okay? Keep looking at me. Don't look down at the ground, look at me. I want you to rock forward a little bit, getting an idea of how heavy our legs are. Your arms are strong, they can do it. Rock forward a bit more until you're almost off your tippy toes. Lift your bum up nice and high, and then let your tippy toes just lift up a little bit. Just a little bit first, and then maybe rock again, because there's no jumping in yoga. We're not gonna do a big jump. That's a lie, sometimes we jump, but today we're not jumping. So let's keep our bum reaching high, look forward, and then just lift those tippy toes off. I don't want anyone jumping their feet off the ground. And you can try that a few times. So see how we've got our knees pressing right into our arms. I'll turn to the side too so you can see. Okay, so get right onto your tippy toes. Lift your bum up nice and high. Keep your head lifted, and then you just want to lift your toes just a little bit. Good, and I'm not holding it for very long. If anyone wants to hold it for a long time, they can. You can keep practicing getting into it too. Let's all practice one more time. Keep your arms straight as possible, and then get those knees right into the triceps. Good. And then relax, and you can move so that you've got your bum on the floor, your feet forward. Oh my goodness, let's take a big forward fold. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, reach forward. Wherever your hands are, just let them drop. Let the head drop. Take a couple big breaths. And slowly roll up. Good, now I'm going to face you. Coming into cradle the baby. Cradle the baby is going to stretch kind of like pigeon pose did. So we take that right foot up and across the left leg. If there's anyone who's here today whose this position's not working, go ahead and take it into a butterfly instead, and you can just stay here. Otherwise, you've got that foot across. You're going to hold your baby's head and bottom with your hands, or scoop that baby up with your arms. Lift the baby up and start rocking back and forth. And when you're cradling your baby, we notice how great it feels in your hips. We notice how tall we can sit, how proud we feel. Taking a couple really nice big breaths. I love cradle the baby, so relaxing. Nice big stretch for the hips. And then we're going to gently be setting our baby down. We'll set the baby's foot down on the outside of the leg if you can, otherwise inside is fine. Sit up so tall as you hug your baby and twist. This is our seated spinal twist. Again, I want you to feel like you're puffing your chest, lifting your head just a little bit prouder, a little bit higher, hugging that knee in a little bit tighter, and then slowly work through the middle and release, setting that baby down all the way. And we'll do the other side. Let's take the left foot up and across. Again, if we get into this position and realize, no, it's just not working for my body today, set it down and you can hold this single leg stretch. Otherwise, you can hold your baby with your hands or scoop that baby up into your arms, picking your baby up and rocking. Back and forth, back and forth. Sitting up so tall with the head, and maybe you're noticing some stretch through that hip. We'll do a few more rocks as we cradle our baby. Getting ready for that spinal twist. So we'll set the baby down, outside or inside of the right leg, sitting up so tall as we hug our leg, twist looking over that back left side. And I want us to really sit up as tall as we've ever sat. Think about somebody standing behind you and they're just pressing on your back, pressing your chest forward a little bit more. Remember to breathe. And then slowly release, taking that leg forward. Good. We're going to be doing one more stretch like that, coming into that single butterfly. So if you are already here, you're acquainted with it. If you did cradle the baby, we just set the foot to the inside of the thigh. Both sides of the bum are on the ground. I want shoulders to face straight forward. Now take a big inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, reach forward. Hands are on either side of that left leg. Keep your bum on the ground and then drop your head wherever it may be. Hopefully nose is facing that front left leg. Keep that right knee pressing deep down towards the floor. And we're stretching locked right now. We might be stretching behind that straight leg. We might be stretching into that bent hip or even up into the back. Now we'll slowly roll ourselves up. Take your time. Help that right leg come in and out. We'll take the left knee, open that out into your butterfly. Make sure you're on both sides of the bum. Your body is straight forward. Inhale, lift tall. Exhale, reach, reach, reach. Again, you want to line up with your leg. Wherever you might be, let's drop that head. Pushing that knee down to the ground. Feeling a stretch behind the right leg or up the back or even into that left hip. Okay, let's slowly roll up. Help that knee in and out and get ready for our final relaxation. So we've got one more move to do as we come down to the floor, which will be our spinal twist laying down. So as we take ourselves down, I'll encourage you to grab your knees into the chest, give yourself another hug, maybe rock right to left, side to side. If you've got blankets or socks or sweaters that you want to put back on, now is a good time to do it. We always get cold at the end of yoga because we're really slowing down our movements and slowing down our breathing, which slows down our heart rate, really helps us calm down. So now that most of us are settled down here, let's get ourselves ready for that spinal twist. So we'll have our legs come all the way down to the floor. Bring our arms out to the side, making our body into that letter T. We'll lift our right knee up about 90 degrees and then lower the leg all the way over to the left. Now as we do that, I want you to completely relax your arms and shoulders, and we can look over that right arm. And just like I mentioned, let's slow down our breathing. We'll bring the knee up and lower it down. And then take that left knee, lift it up. Lower over to the right. And we can look over that left arm, really relaxing the shoulder, letting go of the leg. Good, lifting the knee up and lower down. Now if there's any fidgeting, anything we need to do to get comfortable, go ahead and go through those stretches or through those fidgets so that we can settle ourselves down in Shavasana. Relax the shoulders. Take the head and bring it back into the center, nose pointing straight up to the ceiling. Then release your abdominal muscles, letting your belly rise with every breath in, and let the belly sink and melt with our breath out. And I want you to think about your breathing. Just notice how deep, how slow we can breathe, and how good that feels to help clear the mind, relax the body, feeling those shoulders melting into the ground. We'll stay here for a few more nice deep breaths. Just laying where we are. Let's see if we can take our last couple of breaths even slower. Maybe counting to 5 or 6 with each breath. When you're ready, you can wiggle those fingers and toes. Maybe roll those wrists and ankles. And on your own time, coming all the way up into that easy seated pose. Whether you roll onto your side in baby or you give your knees a hug, let's make our way up into that final seated position. Maybe taking a couple shoulder rolls or a little neck stretch. Thank you so much, everyone, for practicing yoga with me this morning. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's take our hands up to prayer with that last inhale. Exhale down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.